So for one, yes, this did happen, and I'm going to be going over what happened, how I became a published author. So before we can begin the story of how I wrote a book or wrote something, we have to go back to the year 2017. I was a senior in high school, just about to graduate with no plan whatsoever. And one day in English class, our teacher had tasked us to do a book report on any book of our choosing. Now, keep in mind, I was raised within the Alabama school system, right? And within the early 2010s and whatnot, even before then, when I was going to like elementary school, right? When it came to reading, they focused more on your words per minute versus your comprehension. So by the time I got into high school, I couldn't fucking comprehend anything I read to begin with. So imagine me trying to do this book report, right? But I thought if I was going to go with a book report, I might as well go for a topic or a genre that I had some kind of similarity in. And since I was a massive fan of black and white horror films, even modern day horror films, but mostly black and white ones, like Frankenstein, Creature from Black Lagoon, and even Dracula. And so, in which case, I chose to do my book report on Dracula by Bram Stoker. Believe it or not, this is the actual book that I bought back in 2017 just so I can do the book report. The book report went very well. It did great. I passed. I got a successful grade on that. But don't ask the questions about it now because I took notes as I read and I made the book report based off that. But I will say the book report did give me a little bit of inspiration, a slight bit. So as far as I can remember, I've always wanted to be some kind of storyteller, right? And the biggest media that I was really focused on was filmmaking. Now, of course, I wouldn't experience filmmaking in any kind of capacity till I was an adult. But as a teenager, it seemed so far out of my reach. But I felt like books was the best way to get my stories across. So that very same year, maybe even a month after I did the book report, I started writing a book. I started writing my own little story, right? I knew going into it, I didn't want to do anything that was super long because hell, if I can't read a long book, then how I expect someone else to do it? And now keep in mind too, I am a formal writer. I try to keep all my writings as formal as possible, but I did no research going into this as to how to properly write a book and how to properly format one. So I kind of just winged it. And within a few months, I had a very rough sketch, very rough outline of a story called The Scare Experiment. To kind of summarize it the best way that I can, essentially there's a guy who just got out of jail for money laundering or some kind of embezzlement, bad stuff, right? Lost his apartment in New York. He has nowhere to go. He goes to a homeless shelter. And come to find out, he got this letter from a long-lost relative that he knew nothing about that lived in Salem, Massachusetts. And this relative had a house that they pretty much gave to them after they passed away. And so the story goes, he goes down there and come to find out, that house contains a much more darker secret than he anticipated. Funny enough, before I even finished the book and finished the entire thing, my teacher, the English teacher, had a assignment for us to write a story. And hey, what luck did I have, right? I mean, I already had half of the story going, and I was hoping to finish it beforehand, and it didn't get finished. It took a little longer than expected. So I just turned in what I had left to the teacher, and I got an A++. I let him know ahead of time that wasn't finished. He said it was fine. He was already impressed with the fact of how long it was to begin with versus other short stories that people were making. Anyway, it wouldn't be until about late 2017, early 2018. By this time, I have already graduated, and I had released a digital copy of The Scare Experiment for free. At this point, I can't even find that digital copy anymore. I thought I had it in my Google Drives. It's not there anymore. I thought I had it, it even had a free Google website there for a while. I can't find that either. I guess I deleted it. I wasn't very keen on keeping stuff around. I didn't think it would be that important. But hey, at least I did one thing, kind of important. In 2019, I happened to find a publishing company called Lulu.com. They're like the DistroKid of the book industry, essentially. You don't have to have any kind of qualifying features to publish a book. You can just publish a book through them, and whenever someone buys your book through Amazon or Barnes & Noble or any kind of outlet like that, they'll print the book on demand and ship it to the customer. And that's where we got the first original copy of the book. As you can tell, it's very thin. Like I said, I didn't mean for it to be long, but I wasn't good at measurements because this thing is awfully big for a short story. I mean, that's too big. So now if you type in the scare experiment on Google or wherever, it will pop up that I was an author of this book. By the way, too, quick side note, there is another Justin Dawkins. That's another author. He writes fantasy-inspired books. I did not know that going into it. If I would have known, I would have chose a different name. But oh well, it kind of happened. So I guess now you'll say there's one Justin Dawkins that's writing fantasy books, and there's one that's writing horror books. So anyway, years and years go by, and I was very unhappy with the design of this book. So in 2023, I went back to the drawing board and I made an anniversary edition. As you can tell, it's much smaller. It fits the form of a short story, what you would think what a short story would look like. And yeah, the only massive regret that I have for this cover, even though it looks fantastic, is that it is AI generated. Again, if I can go back in time and hire an artist to do all of this, I would do it. But at the time, AI generation content was in its earliest forms, and there was still a big gray area as to how that works and legally how that was done. From my understanding, the program that I used was okay. I don't know. Again, I wish I can go back and just fix it. But as of right now, this is the only copy of the book you can find. This is available on Amazon and Walmart and whatnot. So yeah, that is essentially the story of the one and only book I've ever published. Will I publish more books? I don't plan on it. As I've mentioned in my adult situation here, I've been lucky enough to be part of filmmaking situations. I made my own short films here on this channel. I've made short sketches for other channels. So I mean, I don't. There's no need for me to write a book anymore. So yeah, this might be the one and only time that a book will ever come out from me. Can I help you? If you're interested in reading the book, I believe it's $7 on Amazon. You can find it at other retailers at Walmart. There are some people who sell it on eBay, which I don't know how that works because people have bought the book and people have told me they did enjoy it. But there's not a lot of people that have bought it to then sell it on eBay, so I'm not sure how that worked. But anyway, yeah, I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. I'm sorry. Do you want more attention? Okay, I'm sorry. She's a very, very needy cat. So anyway, yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all later.